All right, welcome back to the Twitchy Theologian. I'm your host, the Twitchy Theologian, aka the Family Dollar James White, aka the Paladin Calvinist, Smiting Provisionist. Y'all know what it is. Today I'm here with my. Are you a devil? Discussing that as well. Also, this video is brought to you by Snake Crusher Products. Snake Crusher Products beard oil. The only thing more sinful than trimming the sides of your beard is not taking care of it at all. Snake Crusher beard oil is made of the finest natural ingredients, castor oil and vitamin E oil and mineral oil, with a hint of sweet tobacco to keep you smelling masculine. Gents, the lady in your life will love getting close to you with that soft, sweet smelling beard. Snake Crusher Products beard oil. Go to snakecrusherproducts.online, put in code TWITCHY to save 15% at checkout. And in doing so, you'll be helping a Christian business and you'll be helping fund my YouTube channel. Anyways, with all that said, let me introduce y'all to my boy Nathan. Nathan,
Hey,
how you doing tonight, man?
pretty good. Hey, thanks for having me on.
Yeah, we've had some technical difficulties, but I think we're rolling now.
I sure hope so, and I'm really looking forward to what we have to talk about. But once again, thanks for the invite. Love all the videos that you've been posting.
Well, not all of them, but
Most of them, just most of
most
them.
of 'em. Well, so if you could tell us a little bit about yourself and your aspirations, your ministry, and then get into Divine Digital Design and the ministry you do there.
Fantastic. So my name is Nathan Trivett. Currently, I am in school at Southeastern Seminary, working towards my bachelor's in pastoral ministry. Feeling like I've been called to pastoral ministry, and so I'm just trying to be obedient in that department. But as I work my way towards that goal, I work a little bit on the side. I have my own business. It's called Divine Digital Design, and really that's a way that I help local churches and other Christian organizations and ministries connect with their audience online. For churches, I help them connect with their congregations and those in their immediate communities online. I build websites. I also create graphics for social media, and that's just one way that I help serve the local church, as well as fund my education.
Nice, nice. Yeah, I love it. So you've worked with some fairly famous groups and people. Could you let us know about some of that?
Sure. If you follow accounts on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, like say Answers in Genesis, you've seen my work there. If you follow Wretched on those platforms, you see my graphics. Recently, I've been creating graphics for G3 Ministries, and some of those graphics are starting to show up, I guess, on their platforms. Um, let's see who else is of note. I've worked with a number of smaller local churches, and those are my primary website clients as well. But yeah, I mean, I work with a range of ministries from large to small to I guess famous to not so famous. So
Yeah, or famous to infamous.
well,
Well,
yes,
well, I'm not infamous yet, but
working on
in
it.
some circles, I'm definitely working on it. Yeah. Uh, no, really, I think they're starting to like me. I had a talk with Warren McGrew the other day, aka Idol Killer, and they actually liked me on there. Believe it
Well,
or not, I'm a lot nicer than I used to be.
that's that's what we call an answered prayer. All right, that's what that is.
Yeah, it definitely is. Hey, and if you don't mind, I would love to show the audience the website that you built for me.
Absolutely, go ahead.
All right, I have it pulled up. I'm going to share my screen. Audience, if I lag a little bit, sorry. As Piper would say, brothers, we are not professionals. So as you can see here, here's the design that the website that he built for me, jerry-duckworth.com. Again, that is jerry-duckworth.com. You need to go there. You need to check it out and keep up with me. Look, he's got this beautiful picture of me up there. Look at that beautiful beard. Look at that messy hair. But I'm up there preaching and glorifying God. And so see here, you got the read my story button, the video archive, and as we keep scrolling down, this is where you can click this button and schedule me at your church. As you can see, this website is easy to figure out, easy to navigate, and it's beautiful. And of course, it's got my books there. I would encourage you guys to please go purchase those because your boy needs money. Okay, I'm going to the advanced MDiv soon, and I'm taking care of my family. So we got some blog articles here. I help manage this website, so that's why there is no pictures here because I am not a professional. I'm pretty dumb. Then you can subscribe to the blog. And then you can click these buttons over here. And this is what it looked like. Make sure if you're not subscribed to the Twitchy Theologian, click that button. We need you to like and subscribe. And then here's some the music taking over the globe. Worthy is the Lamb. And you can post GIFs on there. It's pretty cool. But yeah, and then so here's what the blog section looks like. And as you can see, he's got my picture there in the back. He does a great job. Look at that, John Calvin with the cool glasses. And then the store. And then, of course, you click contact, and you can use the form below to contact me. And so beautiful job with the website, man. I love it. I really appreciate you doing that for me.
Yeah, man, you are so welcome. And hey, I got to give credit where it's due. Half that stuff wasn't on there when I first created it, because you didn't have all these articles and things like that going on. So, good job on somewhat keeping that up to date and getting stuff put up on there, I guess.
Yeah, appreciate it. And guys, just so y'all know, Nathan is an easy guy to work with. I forgot how to edit my website. I forgot what to do to type in, and he sent me the link today, and he's helped me every step of the way. So I really appreciate him for doing that. And if you guys could reach out to him, I love this brother, man. He's a real close friend of mine, and I want y'all to support him however y'all can. But let's get to the topic tonight. But really, kind of the thing that brought us together. I know that Bible college brought us together. We both went to Fruitland Baptist Bible College together. Shout out to them. But I think that the thing that brought us really close together, other than Magic the Gathering, which arguably is also devil worship. Kidding, totally kidding. I don't think so. I know you don't think so, but I think D&D really brought us together along with a group of other people. But some people would say it's devil worship. What say you?
To say that D&D is devil worship, I would say yes, 100% it is devil worship. There's angels and demons and all kinds of things. But if I was to get real serious for just 1 second of your time, D&D is a very unique game in the sense that it is whatever you want it to be. You can change things to fit, match, whatever it is, whatever kind of context that you want to play in, you absolutely can make it do just that. So, if you're a person who wants to make it about devil worship, you have the resources there to do so. But if you do not want that to be the thing, right, then you can make it to be whatever you want it to be. So, call it what it is. It's not devil worship inherently, but it's a game that you can mold and shape however you see fit, really.
Right. So similar to the internet is not inherently bad or sinful in and of itself. However,
Sure.
you can use it for sinful means, or you can use it to glorify God. And I would
Hmm.
argue that you can use Dungeons and Dragons to glorify God, and even to
Hmm.
teach the Bible in some capacity. Like for instance, I've always talked about my campaign that I thought about running with basically a Genesis 6:4 type thing going on, and it creating all kinds of giants and Nephilim, and our job's to go around and kill them. I mean, that's kind of cool, and it would get into some biblical stuff there, but
Mm.
it's kind of, I know I'm kind of a weirdo. Sorry. But I mean, dude, I play Dungeons and Dragons. What do you expect? Like, but so we agree it's not devil worship. We agree with that.
Hmm.
Um, what could you say about a Christian who's thinking about playing it but they're not sure?
Hmm.
Um, how would you encourage them, and what would you warn them against?
Yeah. I really like your analogy of the internet, how it's not inherently an evil thing, but it can be. For the Christian who might have an interest, they might have seen like a video of people playing it or things like that. Um, just getting into the game, I would say first of all, you as an individual and as a Christian, you must be anchored and rooted in what you believe, and so that's pretty general of a statement, but it needs to be the case that you understand the basic tenets of the faith of your faith, and you need to really hold on to that, because there's a lot of things in D&D that is similar to real world faith traditions that are not Christian, or other influences that are not Christian. And I've just heard too many stories of individuals getting into this game. They were not rooted in what they believed and became heavily influenced by what took place in the games. um, that's another aspect I would encourage that Christian to also consider, is you must be able to differentiate what is in the game and what's not in the game, right? You never want to take any kind of anger or negative emotions you have towards another person into the game. Likewise, don't take things personally that happen in the game outside the game, right? There's a tendency there to maybe carry things with us in and out. But it's like,
That right there, I'm sorry, I want to stop there because
go
that's a
for it.
good warning. That's a great warning. As someone with kind of an addictive personality, I get hooked on something and I'm
Yep.
researching all the time.
Yep.
It's easy to take what happens in the game and take it home with you and be like, oh man, and just start obsessing over it, or
Hmm.
obsessing if like maybe you and a buddy were planning to storm this castle, and you were gonna steal gold from this evil king and then run off with it, and
Hmm.
then as you're leaving, you're being chased by guards, and maybe he trips you, and your character falls and gets caught. It's easy to take that home and be like, man, what a jerk! I can't believe he did that to me. But
Yeah.
you gotta separate in game and out of game. So I thought that was
Hmm.
really a good point there.
Absolutely. And then the third and final thing I might suggest to that Christian who's kind of on the fence, um, is really think about and consider your motivations for playing, right? If you want, if you have a buddy or a few friends who have invited you to play with them, and you know that they're solid believers, they're a good influence on you, that seems like a pretty safe environment to be in. Just thinking about the situation, I guess, not knowing any other details. um but at the same time, if your motivation is, I feel like my life is empty, I need to fill it with something, I need to escape from this certain reality in which I'm living, um that is that is a snare that has been set for you, my friend, and it's not worth you stepping into that. So really consider why you are wanting to get into this new hobby, this new game that has the potential to be such an influence and such a I don't know what to call it, such a has such a place in your life, right? D&D takes a lot of time to play, and it's one of those things like what you were kind of saying before. It's something that can definitely kind of blur the lines between the in-game time that you're playing and then the out-of-game time as well. So I would caution the Christian about that.
Yeah. And if I just had a one huge thing to say, it would be find a good group.
Yeah.
Because in the Dungeons and Dragons community, you're gonna find a lot of different people. I'm gonna back up because I like talking with my hands. You're gonna find a lot of different people, right? You're gonna find guys who are Christians, like Nathan and I. In our group, we were all Christians, and
Hmm.
so we knew there's a line that you just don't cross. Like, and look, I'm a wild guy. Okay, I'm gonna push that line as much as I can, right? My guy, basically, almost every character I create is some sort of a murder hobo, right? In other words, if there's an NPC and he's a bad guy, we're killing him. No questions asked. I'm smiting him. Okay, and when I was playing a sorcerer, I will fireball your village if you tick me off, right? Because that was the kind of character I would play. But glorify. On the other end, you're going to find groups that are more left leaning that play Dungeons and Dragons, and that's honestly going to make up a significant amount of the people. A significant amount of people who play Dungeons and Dragons are sadly a left leaning, and so there's going to be stuff in there. Uh, they may have two uh, homosexuals playing the game together, and they want their characters to be boyfriend and boyfriend or something. So you just got to be careful about that. Careful who you play with, because there's going to be guys at the table cussing like crazy if you're in a bad group. There's going to be guys in there who's going to bring alcohol and maybe even drugs if you're in a bad group. So find a good group. You don't want to play with just anybody. That's highly important. What do you think about that advice?
I think that's very solid advice. I would definitely second that as well. And the thing about finding groups as well is that sometimes groups don't fit for one reason or another. Maybe like what you said, maybe they just don't share in your same beliefs and values. But there could be times where they do share your beliefs and values, but they don't necessarily play the kind of game that you want to play, right? They don't play the same context or the same style of game, or there might be rules that they've added to the game that you don't agree with, whatever it might be. So it's a lot about finding community that you want to be around, first of all, but then on also finding things that just kind of fit more of your preference as well. That's definitely an element to this as well. We have to kind of consider. Um, so I like that advice that you gave there. One question for you, okay? Because you kind of brought this up, and I want to push this just a little bit. Is you mentioned that Dungeons and Dragons, a lot of the demographic that plays this game is more liberal in their values and beliefs and even theology as well. Um, but that's not limited to D&D, right? People who play Magic the Gathering, people who
Mm-hmm.
play Yu-Gi-Oh and Pokemon and all these other games, right? That seems to be the case. Why do you think that's the case?
That's an interesting question. I want to preface all this by saying I grew up playing D&D and Magic the Gathering when I was like 12 and 13 years old. And the guys that I was around, a majority of them were Christian, and those that weren't were at least somewhat conservative and were respectful. Um,
Mhm.
I think, though, that to answer your question, I think that it the left get into it more. I would say this is a hard generalization, and I might upset some folks. I would say that part of it is they're not like happy with themselves. And so it's easy for people who aren't rooted and grounded in scripture and finding their
Mhm.
joy in Christ to finding their joy in something that is it can completely suck you in because it's a
Yeah.
new world. You can be whatever you want to be. Like you don't have to be uh the not so popular guy anymore. You can be the most charismatic person in the world in the D&D world.
Yeah.
You don't have to be the outcast because you're a homosexual. You can be in that world whatever you want to be. And I think that for those who would hold to transgender ideologies, uh, they would love that sort of stuff. And, in there, uh, you can polymorph, sounds kind of transgenderish. You can be a druid that shapeshifts,
Mhm.
furries.
You could be a
I'm just
changeling.
right. You could be a changeling, and I'm just saying, like, so it fits with their worldview to some extent. But let
Mhm.
me also say this: the ones who built this were not leftists. The ones who
Mhm.
built this were Christians. Tolkien, even though he was a Roman Catholic, he's the one who built Lord of the Rings and
Mm.
basically is the foundation for all high fantasy. Read Ari Salvatore, Margaret Weiss, Tracy Hickman. Uh, all of those famous writers nowadays, they're pointing back to Lord of the Rings and like that's
Mhm.
what inspired me. Or the Chronicles of Narnia with C.S. Lewis. That's what inspired this high fantasy. So if I'm encouraging Christians, it's like, dude, don't give them that. Don't give them that. Yeah, sure, it can lead that way. Um,
Mhm.
it may have some sort of weird leanings that could call that attracts those type of people, but don't give it over to them. Use uh what use what Tolkien wrote and C.S. Lewis wrote and use this as a way to reach those folks.
Yeah.
So when me and you went to the deck box to play Magic the Gathering, it
Yeah.
could have been super competitive where like we're getting angry if we lose, or it could be an opportunity to glorify God and share the gospel with somebody.
Sure. Absolutely. Yeah, and you make a very good point that maybe these people just, they're not happy with themselves. I I might push a little bit further on that, since you went and brought that up. I hope this doesn't get you canceled or get me canceled, but I would go so far as to say that individuals who are not rooted in reality will often blur the lines of fantasy. When you talk about playing these fantasy games, they themselves are living in their own fantasy worlds most of the times, right? Worlds
Wow,
where
yeah.
where they can be whatever that they want to be. If they were born male, but they want to be and fantasize of being female, they can do that in their own worlds, right? And so when you add the element that these games provide, that fantasy aspect, man, they just dive in. You know what I'm saying? So we circle back and say, like what I said earlier, it's the fact of you need to be rooted first in what you believe, be rooted in your values, beliefs. Um, and for us Christians, we got to be rooted in the absolute reality of God's word, right? That's like the foundation in which we live our lives each and every day. And if you're not, then you're once again kind of stepping into that snare, right? Um, but I definitely agree with your insights on that.
Yeah, and that was a tough question because I've never really actually thought about, why is that? So that was just kind of an off the cuff uh, answer there. But I want to kind of go back to something that you mentioned, and then I
Mhm.
want to bring up something else as well, particularly about. Well, okay, let me write them down
Okay.
because these are fun little topics. So I wanted to go back to the D&D style that you mentioned.
Mhm.
Everyone has different styles of D&D. So like one person, like me, I need a map. I need a map where we're placing our characters, where it's almost like um, a chess on crack. I love that. I don't necessarily like the cinematic in your head type thing.
Mhm. Yeah.
You also have um, more of a free flowing world and more of a railroading story type of world or something like that. And I
Yeah.
think we had a little conflict there because I'd want to do something and you'd be like, no, that's not gonna work. And I'm like, bro, it'll work right here on my character sheet. Let me show you, bro.
Yeah.
I can do it. And you're like, nope, nope, ain't gonna work. So that's important that when you get with a group, uh, y'all can work together with that because I
Hmm.
would say when I DM'd, it was open. It was so open that it was almost like, where are we even going with this?
Yeah.
Whereas with yours, it was structured, organized, and a beautiful story, even if I didn't always get to do what I wanted to do. So, I mean, I
Yeah.
appreciated that about your campaign, that it was actually going somewhere. With mine, I'm like, guys, like, y'all didn't. I set up 500 possible side quests, and y'all didn't do none of them. I was like, "Oh my gosh, I've spent 10 hours building this world and the possible side
Hmm.
quests, and y'all just go do whatever."
Yep.
So,
Yeah.
what would you say about that and the style? What would your comment on the style be, I guess?
Yeah. I would say that D&D is so malleable. You can make it whatever you want it to be. There's so many different genres we might say of playing the game, right? How there's different genres of books. The most common type of D&D campaign is more of your like adventure style campaign. You start in this one town, and then there's like a thing that happens, and then you go on this epic quest to do whatever it is you got to do, right? That's the most common. Um, but D&D actually didn't start out like that. It started in its early days as a what we call a dungeon crawl, where you and the rest of the players go through this dungeon and you're just killing stuff. That's all you were doing in the early days of D&D. You're just killing stuff. If your character dies, it's sad. You create a new one and you keep on killing stuff. Not a whole lot of story was involved in those early days of D&D. So that's another kind of style that we see. Um, and then there's more like niche styles as well. If you're someone who's into like murder mysteries, they have those kinds of campaigns in D&D. They have more like I don't know, like mystery things, or they have like um trying to think of something else there. There's different like contexts and like different settings that you can play in. It doesn't have to be just like all this magical stuff going around. It can be modern day. It could be like, 1940s New York or whatever. So it's all about finding a group that you mesh with and finding a style of play that you like. If you like those high fantasy adventure style quests, go do that. If you like mysteries, go do that. There's just so many ways to play the game.
Yeah, I think I'm more of an in between of adventure with a large portion of dungeon crawl.
Yep.
I love the combat, man. I can't get enough of that. Like, I specifically create my character combat oriented. Uh but I enjoy, like, so I watched I can't the Dungeon Dudes, and I enjoyed that they didn't necessarily make their guys combat oriented, but
Hmm.
more flexible so that in the world as they're facing everyday problems, they
Hmm.
could adjust to them. I like the idea of that more than I like doing that, because if I'm sitting there and we're not getting anything done, I'm like, dude, I want to be level 6. Why am I not level 6? Give me something to kill, Give me
Yep.
an
Yep.
orc to kill. Give me a giant ogre, or to chop its head off. Give me something. So what would your play style kind of be like? What's your favorite, you'd say?
I really enjoy I trying to think of how to put this. I really enjoy the more high fantasy like quest style campaigns. Um I love the idea of having stories and having a DM, a dungeon master who includes the stories of each character into the overarching campaign, right? I love that aspect. Um, as far as like the play itself, um, I I do enjoy the combat. But I know when I build characters, I kind of think about, what would my character be good at? Um, if he's good at fighting, I can kind of work him to be good at fighting, but also like when he's not fighting, what is he good at? Um, I've been playing in one campaign now for it's coming up on about 2 years, and it's been a long time running. And in this campaign, I started out playing this bard who he was awful in combat. He couldn't do anything, but outside of combat, he was like the jack of all trades kind of guy. He just did everything. But now in that same campaign, I'm playing this different character who's more combat based, and but he can still uh, deceive pretty well. He's pretty sneaky. He can steal things pretty easily, and so that's more of like, I guess, my style, more of like a blended kind of style. But I do love the aspects of having a story there and involving the players in that story.
Yeah, and I enjoy that too. There have been a lot of really cool stories that I've been a part of. Uh, but for some reason, man, like I just love the fighting aspect. There's something about knowing that this character that you've poured your heart and soul into could be lost at
Hmm.
any moment. And like dude, that time when we went into the town, right? I'm not gonna get into too many specifics because my guy was a savage. But
Yeah.
and if we went in that town and I killed one of the orcs off gate, and there was tons of them, and you were sending wave after wave at us. And I'm sitting there the whole time. Everybody else is like, we need to leave. I'm like, one more wave, one more wave. I know we got this. Trust me. I've got this spell lined up for them. I got this lined up for them. If we'll all just, I love being uh, the mastermind who like orchestrates everybody. And I'm like, here's our plan. If we do this, combat will work out. What would you how the tactician, the
Yeah.
tactician. I wanna be the tactician, you know?
Yeah, absolutely. And look, it's not my place to put a judgment on you necessarily, but I will just say that I have observed in the past that D&D might be an outlet for all that rage you have just built up inside. You just save all your rage from all over the years, and just you see an orc and it's like, this is the one time I can just let it all out. And so yes, I've seen that happen several times. But once again, that's what you like. That's just your play style. I would say for someone like myself, I do tend to be more, you might say, strategic about things, right? I don't just go in just guns blazing most of the time. I do like to keep my characters around for a little bit longer. So um, yeah, I just like that D&D is so dynamic, right? Especially
Yeah.
in combat. There's so many things you can do other than just, you know, I want to hit him with my sword, right? There's so many other things that you can do to impact that aspect of the gameplay. And once again, just loops right back around to D&D. Is just so malleable. You can do whatever you want for the most part in this game, right? And especially if you have a DM that's just like all out there. I was like, whatever you want to do, go do it. Um, but I will say, yeah, I'm definitely the kind of guy that's more like, can we just stop and think before we, go hitting people, so that I can maybe live for one more session.
See, and I'm cool with that, but here's my thing. There's something within me where my character, like, I'm always wanting my character to be more and more powerful. And
Hmm.
I know that for in most campaigns, combat is where you receive XP.
Hmm.
So it pushes me towards that because I want my character to grow and develop. But here's something that I've suggested that I would think other DMs ought to do. If you don't want your guys to be murder hobos, then make it to where you have an encounter, but if they avoid the encounter, they get the same amount of XP that they would have
Hmm.
got had they killed everybody there.
Yeah.
That would I guess make it more realistic because look, bro, real talk. Even if I'm super powerful and can throw fireballs, if there's 100 orcs in a town, I'm not running up in there blasting away. Like
Hmm.
I'm gonna be smart and probably go around. But because I want the XP, I'm about to do it. Like
Yeah.
I'm teeing off on them. But I think that this is what I love about D&D. I think it tells us something about ourselves,
Yeah.
right? As
Hmm.
you play these characters, yeah, you build your character certain ways, and there is a sense in which it's acting. You're
Hmm.
acting. But if you've created as many characters as I have, you
Yeah.
start to notice a theme with them. And my theme usually is power. And
Hmm.
so that lets me know that there's something inside of myself that craves power. That
Hmm.
and I need to be aware of that. There's
Yeah.
something inside of me that wants to have control, that
Hmm.
wants to have authority, that wants to have all that sort of I'm the man. So like
Hmm.
the arrogance, there's arrogance inside of me. And so I
Yeah.
think that D&D does a good job of helping you examine yourself and bring
Hmm.
that out, and then saying, okay, this is what I need to lay at the feet of Jesus. I need to
Yeah.
realize that in my real life, um, there's if I'm doing this in the fantasy world, in what ways am I pursuing power in the real world?
Hmm.
And am I doing that in a God glorifying way? Am I pursuing power for the glory of God and the growth of the kingdom? Or am I doing it for my own selfish desires?
Hmm.
What do I need to do to put guards in place to make sure that I'm not aspiring to? So, for instance, we both aspire to be pastors, right?
Yeah.
Uh, what am I? You want to ask yourself, am I aspiring to pastoral ministry because I want some sort of authority or power? And if you find that to be the case, you need to check that and probably ought not pursue it
Hmm.
because it's not for you at that time. And maybe in the future that's something that you can put to death, and that you will be ready for it then. But I say all that to say, uh, D&D has helped me understand me better,
Hmm.
and helped me realize what I need to put to death and what I need to
Yeah.
control. And one of them's my anger, bro. One of them's my anger. Something bad would happen in the game,
Yeah.
and I'm ticked. I'm like,
Yeah.
oh, I'm not. I've lost control. I'm out of control of a game.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
what happens when I'm out of control in life and circumstances are hitting me that I can't control? Am I going to freak
Hmm.
out like I did in the game, or am I going to trust in Christ and glorify God? Sorry to go on that rant, but I just that's something a way that it's helped me and been beneficial. Have you experienced
Yeah.
similar? Or
Yeah, very, very similarly. And we don't have the time nor the qualifications, I guess, to talk about like D&D and trauma that we may have had in our lives, and how that comes out. But I will say this about what you were just describing there. You know, acting in a sense is like lying, right? Like you're pretending to be something that you're not because you're acting, right? But I would say that the foundation of every lie is a little ounce of truth, right? And so when we are embodying these personas in this game, you're exactly right that we kind of like are revealing ourselves bit by bit through that process. I know for myself, I've had the experience of realizing that some of the characters, really the vast majority of characters that I have built for different games and different campaigns, they have just been like better versions of myself. I will notice certain traits that I had given these personas, um, and then I've looked back and realized, wait a minute, I have that same kind of quirk, or I have that same kind of tendency. Um, but with the added benefit of you can make these characters be ever what you want them to be, right? And I was just producing uh, myself in a kind of like a overarching sense, but like every flaw taken away, every shortcoming or insecurity is just not there because I've built them in such a way that it just doesn't exist. And that was kind of hard for me to kind of come to terms with because I wasn't consciously thinking of doing that, right? It just kind of happened. And so that's kind of revealed some things in my life that I'm like, I probably need to go take care of that. I'm not quite right in this department, right? So so yes, I've had very similar experiences to what you were just describing there.
Yeah. I want to elaborate on that, but we're gonna move on. We're gonna
Okay.
move on, dog.
All right. Good job.
Because oh man, it could get crazy. Like examining why did you do that? Was that
Are
the
you
character?
okay?
Was that the character, or is there something inside of you that made you want to, like, you know what I'm saying?
Yep.
But let's move on. Another thing that we often have discussed, that is very popular in our culture right now, is Baldur's Gate 3.
Yeah.
What is your take on Baldur's Gate 3?
You know, I've really enjoyed playing it. I played it pretty frequently when it first released onto PlayStation. But then after so long, I was like, man, you know what? I gotta like actually do school for once, or I'm gonna fail. So I kind of had to take a break from that and really kind of reprioritize. But
Have you beat it yet?
no, I've not.
Okay.
I've not played. Yeah, I've not
Shame
beat
on
it
you.
yet.
Shame
Yeah,
on you.
I know. I need to go repent or something, I guess. Uh, but no, I mean, while I was playing it, I mean, I thought it was a very how should I say? It was a good system. It was fun to play. Some of the things weren't exactly one for ones as far as playing D&D on paper or in person versus the game. But if they were to ever make a video game style D&D adventure, I think they just blew it out of the park. It was fantastic to play. A lot of fun. I love the storylines that you could create while you played. You could play the game 10 different times and have 10 different outcomes and 10 different progressions, and it was just never the same game twice, right? So I really appreciate that. Um, Also less about the gameplay itself and the game, but when it was released, it was like what, like $50 or something. There was no like in-game purchases that you see with all these other game titles. There's no DLC content. There's nothing else extra you have to buy to actually enjoy playing the game, right? It was just all out there on the digital table, right? And I really appreciated that from the developers, how they weren't going to just keep monetizing it like we've seen so many other different games in the past, at least. And so so yeah, I really enjoy it. Was through and through, it was a great experience.
Yeah, honestly, I've played a lot of D&D games in my day. Um, Man, I'm trying to think of that one I played on like PlayStation 1 or PlayStation 2 that was very similar. Champions of Norath. Bro, I started in those days, like,
Mm-hmm.
which I've even played one on the GameCube, Gauntlet. You ever play Gauntlet?
I'm not.
So and they used to have those in the little arcades, and I've played the D&D on the arcade. Not because I'm that old. Uh, Shut up, young one. But because they still exist. There's a pinball arcade up here in Hendersonville, and I went and I was like, "Whoa, D&D! I gotta play it." Um, but so I've played a lot of different D&D games.
Mm-hmm.
Skyrim, of course, is similar to D&D.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, what's that one with Greyhawk? Dragon. Oh man, somebody will mention it in the comments. That I've played like 3 of those. Dragon Age, Dragon
Mm-hmm.
Age.
Yeah.
Love the Dragon Age ones. Uh, but I felt like this one was head and shoulders above the rest. Like
Mm-hmm.
if again, if you want D&D, it's there. You got
Yeah.
it. You got it. Um, Started off playing as a paladin. I recognized from our D&D sessions that I'm always playing characters that are a little savage. So was like, let's tone it back. Let's play a
Mhm.
character that is is gonna glorify God more. You know what I'm saying?
Mhm. Right.
And my character was basically a paladin worshiper of Yahweh.
Yeah.
And we went through and we were smiting all the evil, you know.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
but then I did make him a he was a paladin sorcerer as well because I wanted to smite all the time and for a lot.
Mm.
But anyways, I enjoyed the game. If there was one thing I could take out, it would be some of the romance stuff. But thankfully, there is settings that you can put on that will
Mhm.
at least keep it from being graphic in any way.
Sure. Sure. Yeah, and that just I think gives rise to within Baldur's Gate 3 all the kinds of choices that you make that influences the game, right? If you want to kind of rizz up a lady friend in the party and do that, it gives you the liberty to do that and go as far with that as you want to go. Um, but once again, it's like, why? Why am I choosing to do what I'm doing right now? Whether it's risen up one of those girls, or it's you've come to like a fork in the road and you're going one way versus another. Um, did you ever run into the that owlbear in the cave like very early on in the game? Did you ever have that
Um,
encounter?
I did it in my second time through.
Okay, so you would know from that encounter, there's an owlbear that's like eating something, right? And you have the option to either fight it and kill it or just walk away, right? It's like in that moment you have a choice to make. If you fight it and you kill it, spoilers if you've not played Baldur's Gate 3, but it's been out for a while, so I'm going to say it. If you kill that owlbear, you realize that there's an owlbear cub hiding in the darkness that comes out and finds its dead mother that you just killed, right? So that's like a heart-wrenching, I did this. I made a choice and I did this. Um, versus if you walk away, then um, it lives, right? So yeah, it's all about those choices and really being set in your values and beliefs and all the things we've just kind of covered up to this point as well, right?
So when you faced the owlbear, was there a daddy owlbear?
I didn't see one. There could have been one.
So I played on. I recently I started on honor mode, and I wanted to make an assassin
Hmm.
because for the auto crits when I surprise attack,
Yeah.
um, I don't know if it's bugging out or if like I'm just not getting surprise on people, but it's
Hmm.
not working.
Hmm.
But and so I switched him to a thief to get the 2 bonus actions, which is the better of the rogues anyways.
Yeah.
But the funny thing is I made him a half orc because when he crits, he gets the extra damage dice. So when I was getting surprise at things, I mean, I'm killing goblins, one shotting them.
Yeah.
Everything I'm hitting, I'm one shotting. Um, but anyways, I I I seen the owlbear mom, and I
Hmm.
had read online there was an owlbear cub, and
Yeah.
I read you could keep it or something.
Yes, that's later on though when you fight it in the Goblin Fort. Yep.
Oh, so I killed the mom.
Yeah.
The dad came. I killed, and I'm fighting them both at one time. Killed the dad too because I'm in
Huh.
honor mode, and it adds difficulty. And if you die, the game is over.
Right.
Killed them both, and then the baby started attacking me.
Oh, really?
But after I killed the mom and the dad, it stopped attacking me. But I
Huh.
killed it anyways.
Huh.
I wanted the
Interesting.
XP.
Well, hey, really staying true to the character of yourself there. I love it.
Oh man, and my first guy was super good, and so my second playthrough, I was like, "Let's see what happens if I run an evil guy. Let's see
Naturally.
how the campaign changes and shifts." So I'm gonna do everything bad this time.
Yeah.
Another thing I wanted to ask you about was um, uh, have you read any more of the Dritz books?
I have not. Uh you gave me that one Icewind Dale trilogy. And so I've read through most of that. I've not gotten quite through the third book in uh that series,
Is that
but I've
Streams of Silver or the Halfling's Gem? I'm such a
oh
nerd.
I don't know. Got it right here somewhere. I'd probably look it up. Um, I'm not sure what that third book is. Let's see. I'm
Oh,
gonna
I think
check.
it's Streams of Silver because that one's Mithril Hall, or maybe that is Streams of Silver where they're going to Mithril Hall.
Let's see.
Nerd alert! Nerd alert!
So the first one is the Crystal Shard. Second
Mhm.
one is the second book is the Streams of Silver. The third one is the Halfling's Gem.
Dude, I had it in order. Yeah, dude, that's awesome. I'm pathetic.
You know, if we were playing D&D right now, I'd give you inspiration, but we're not. So I'm not going to do that.
Well, I'm inspired nonetheless. Uh, to mention those books because anytime I talk about D&D, I want to give a shout out to Ari Salvatore. Dude, he got me through some hard times, man. I'd
Mm,
be locked up in jail and nothing to read, nothing to do, and I would just disappear into the world of the Forgotten Realms or the other place he created, the Demon Wars series. Like I would
mhm.
disappear into those. So shout out to him. What did you think of the book so far?
You know, this is my first time reading a D&D style book, and I thought it was very refreshing to experience D&D, but in like a novel format, right? Reading what characters do, how they feel, what that whole thing, just reading a book. So I've really enjoyed that, and seeing the different elements that I would find in a game, right, actually come into life in that story. So I've really appreciated it from that viewpoint. And then seeing how, um, I guess you could say, like, the characters that you find, at least in Icewind Dale, is just, they would not be optimized for gameplay whatsoever, but because of plot armor, they just work, right? And so it's just cool to see these different characters, and they do weird things, and they have weird things and quirks, but they just work. And so that's really cool to kind of see. Um, you know, Dritz is a ranger, right? Rangers they're okay, but they're not good, right? But then
Right.
he's like just this legendary, just slayer of everything. So that's kind of a breath of fresh air, I guess.
Yeah, and if you go back into the books that are chronologically before, but were written after. Um, Sorry, bugging out there. Essentially, Salvatore did that because after he wrote about Dritz, people were wanting more of him. And they're like, where
Hmm.
did this dude come from? So he had to write about that. But if you read about him and Menzo Baranzan, he trained at Melee Magathar. I'm probably pronouncing that wrong. Sorry, nerds. Don't at me. But uh, and so it seems that his first levels, his first couple levels were, I would say his first 5 levels were probably fighter. I
Hmm.
know he's deemed a ranger, but when I
Yeah.
read the books, it's almost as he like dipped 1 level or 2 levels in a ranger.
Hmm.
And then when you get into the future books, spoiler alert, uh, dude, but he's a fighter ranger, seems to have a touch of barbarian in some of the later books, and now monk.
Yeah.
He's like the craziest multi-class ever. And this dude's just like wiping the floor with stuff. Like it's insane.
Yeah.
Who's been your favorite character so far?
Oh man, good question. Um.
I'll give you mine as you think about it.
Okay. All right.
I enjoyed Wolfgar.
Okay.
Just I don't know if you're to the point yet where he's like pretty bad to the bone.
Hmm.
But when he gets Aegis Fang, that hammer, and he starts chucking that thing around, it flies back to him. He's almost like a Thor who can't fly.
Yeah. let's see. Oh, I've already forgotten his name. He hold on a second. I'm gonna go look this up because I am absolutely blanking on this man's name. Um, maybe you remember it. He was the little bard in book one. Um,
The halfling?
yes, but he
I
was
thought.
like, I'm pretty sure he was a bard there, right? No,
Yeah, I think he was a
this guy
rogue.
was he a rogue?
You talking about
Let's
Regis
see. There was one guy that
Rumblebelly?
was yeah was he was a rogue and not a bard, right?
Yeah, I don't think he was a
I'm
bard.
pretty
I
sure
think
he
he
was
was
a
a
bard.
rogue.
Rogue. Okay. For some reason, I was thinking that he was a bard. Um, but no. Reading about like his squabble at Ten Lakes there in Icewind Dale was interesting. A very interesting read there. Um, but no, I'm always like I have a tendency to lean towards characters that are more like what you might say like blended, right? They're more like your versatile characters in combat, out of combat. But I know that Regis, he was kind of shifty, right? Very charismatic, and how he just presented himself and the things that he's done.
Yeah, and I just thought Regis was a really funny character. Later on, I appreciated him more because again, I'm more combat oriented, and I would appreciate that. He always he would I don't know. He was kind of a coward, but he always had everybody's back. Like he would
Mhm.
kind of hide. Somebody's about to get knocked upside the head, and here he comes out with his. Didn't he have a mace or something?
At one point,
And then he just, knocks him upside the head and finish him. But yeah, he had the little gem he would hold up, hypnotize people
mhm.
with. That's the dude you're talking about.
Yep,
Yeah, Regis Rumblebelly.
Rumble Belly,
Yeah,
man. Just the way that he would always carry himself, I always thought that he was like a bard, just like a really really good bard, But I guess it does make sense now that you say he's a rogue. That makes a lot of sense, actually. So we'll just go with that.
yeah. I mean, rogues are known to be highly skilled and
Hmm.
charismatic as well. I've actually created a character that's just a complete skill junkie, and it's all bard and rogue.
Yeah, yeah, I love it.
But yeah, man, it's getting a little bit late. I think we ought to hop off here. I appreciate you being on the channel, man. And guys, please go watch or go check out Divine Digital Design. You can follow them on Facebook. How else can they reach out to you?
Really just through Facebook right now, and on my website as well. My website is divinedigitaldesign.co. Do not put the M; you will be misguided. But on my website, you can always reach out to me there. If you have a church, if you have a ministry, Christian organization, whatever, and you feel like you need some help with your social media content, or if you have a website that needs updating or things like that, then I'm all about helping local churches and other Christian organizations, to really just succeed online. So I'd love to help you out there. And then Facebook, I'm on there. I post on the occasion if something cool comes about. But yeah, I spend most of my time just kind of doing my thing, doing all my graphics and helping others. So those are the two ways you can reach out to me, and I'd love to talk.
All right, I appreciate that. Uh, praise God for you, man. I'm gonna say goodbye to everyone, then I'll catch you in the after show. So just hang on. Again, guys, this episode's been brought to you by Snake Crusher Products. Snake Crusher Products pomades made of the finest natural ingredients: beeswax, vitamin E oil, castor oil, shea butter, with a manly hint of sweet tobacco. It stays in all day, holds firm. You can even restyle your hair throughout the day and it washes out with shampoo. The shea butter and vitamin E will help keep the hair you have looking fresh and healthy. When you look good, you'll perform well. And guys, always remember, when you purchase Snake Crusher products at snakecrusherproducts.online, you are supporting a Christian ministry. And when you use Twitchy in the promo code, when you type in promo code Twitchy, I'm getting a kickback from it. They're supporting me, so please support them. And in supporting them, you're supporting me, and I love you guys. So I want to keep being able to do this. StreamYard costs money, so please support them to support me. Again, that is snakecrusherproducts.online. Grace and peace.